What's up, everyone? It's Penuel the Black Pen.
Time.
This is a special episode. Yesterday, I tweeted something, and my guest today, uMkhonto Notaboloy, decided to comment on that tweet, and that's why we're here today. As of today, the 11th of December, which means the tweet
11,
came out...
12, 24.
Of which the tweet came out on the 10th. The tweet's got 128,000 views, over 230 retweets. And then when you commented, your comments got 18,000 views, and my response to that got 17,000 with over 500 likes, which means people wanted us to sit and have this conversation.
And there were other comments of other people.
No, of course, I'm not going to read those. I'm only here for you.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, like, other people saying, yo, guys, please do sit.
Fair.
And guys saying, yo, you know, I love it when brothers at least are able to get along or able to disagree, like, cordially, because, you know, this is what we need from weSizwe and Vusi.
Let me read the tweet, and then after that, you guys can just tune in and listen to me and Nota. The tweet goes, I love Jacob Zuma, but I think people who are voting for uMkhonto weSizwe are being misled. Instead of fighting to uplift the poor masses in South Africa through skills education at schools, access to business training and funding, and spreading out government and SOE tenders to the masses, Jacob Zuma is obsessed with, in inverted commas, rescuing the same ANC that has failed the people for over 30 years. He's too interested in getting back into top ANC structures than building an alternative vehicle that can serve the people. I was wrong with my prediction of the MK party at the elections. Hopefully I am wrong even now regarding Zuma's strategy. But I currently think that this is just another waste of poor people's time and black people's time. Instead of focusing on fixing our communities, we are being asked to assist a man fight his personal vendettas with an ANC that has been captured by rich white people even before 1994. Nkamulo, I'm here for you. I hope you're well. But we can just jump straight in and you can tell me why it is that you are like, nah, we can debate this.
Yeah, because, you know, I feel like dialectics, you know, two things can be true at once. And that's it. So what you're saying could be true, but also the inverse could also possibly be true, you know. And for me, I feel like there's no political platform bigger than the ANC. In terms of experience in incumbency, they've got, you know, the lion's share,
infrastructure,
almost all of it.
And infrastructure.
Yeah. The human resources, all of that. They're also well resourced from a capital perspective. They've been in power for a long time. They're influential. And I feel like Zuma is the perfect person to actually understand the sentiment of the aged and elderly that still are loyal to the ANC. And he also does not want to lose that base, which he contributed to building through his leadership of the ANC. And so if you understand that Okokobetu, you know, some of them are loyal to the ANC to a fault and will still vote ANC. If he says he's trying to destroy the ANC, he will become an enemy to them. And if you look at his approach when it comes to the EFF personally, himself and with his leadership and with the clauses that have been placed in the MK constitution, you can see that he's not trying to be a leader that is creating animosity between the two parties, even though they do have some, they are adversarial. Because they are competing for the same, you know, voter base, either way. So, I mean, it's evidenced. The youth structure of the MK in its beginning phases, you know, was very vocal about its objections to the EFF being seen as a viable option to disrupt the ANC political monopoly. And they came for them. And as soon as they did that, that leadership structure was collapsed and, you know, replaced with those who are more amenable to the mother body's top leadership, even though those two parts of the organization were supposed to have some level of autonomy. Jacob Zuma felt like giving the youth structure too much autonomy before the structures have been fully cemented within the organization as a whole could create problems, and that's why he withdrew them from that line or angle of attack of the EFF.
This was Obongani Kanyile.
Yeah, Bongos.
Bongos, my apologies. Bongos Kanyile. Sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So just by observing that, I feel like as much as there are people that will agree with you, right? Fully, completely, 100%, right? There are people that will also disagree with the notion of abandoning the ANC or dumping it altogether. And Zuma doesn't want to lose either of you. And for you, you want Zuma to be fully on your side because that's what he has promised, you know what I mean? And that's what you've already bought into. But he understands the dialectics. And I mean, it's a similar criticism that people have of him, like, why didn't he enforce more change while he was leading the ANC? And at the same time, people ignore the fact that there's a balance of power that is, present in each and every single organizational structure. And he had to play with that to the best of his ability. So as much as he empowered a whole lot of black businesses, because there wasn't that much vetting of the quality of the black businesses that he was empowering, he wasn't able to control what they did with that empowerment. And
please repeat that. You're saying during Zuma's supposed 9 wasted years, there was less vetting, i.e. less red tape for black businesses.
Yeah, because they changed legislation. You know what I mean? They introduced legislations to amend the BEE laws, to ensure that, big companies that get more than 93%, big white-owned company or white-founded, white-backed companies that get over 93% of the more than 1.8 trillion in procurement or state procurement would also have to share some of those proceeds with smaller companies. So tenders for less than 100 million needed to have, subcontractors that were black founded and majority black owned and preferably women owned. Women and youth owned, sorry.
You've attended some of the media briefings of MK. I've seen you. I've seen you ask questions. Number one, which people may want to know, are you a member of MK? Are you a supporter of MK?
Yeah.
Why would you go to those things? Is it as someone who's just interested, someone who's just a patriot, or is it something else?
I attended the ANC conferences as well. The only things I haven't attended is the DA and EFF events. So I'm interested in politics because I've stated that, you cannot use economics to escape politics.
You cannot
use economics. Like, as rich as Johan Rupert is, he's got influence in politics, very strong influence in politics, and he wouldn't have economic security without influence in politics.
I hear you.
Yeah. So that's something I learned the hard way, from home. My dad was always against us getting involved in politics. I've got uncles that were part of the MK.
The original MK, uMkhonto weSizwe, yeah.
Let's call it the MK of old, SACP. And as we were growing up, Carl Niehaus was head of the Gauteng Economic Development Agency at a certain stage, and he offered my older sister a directorship role there, and she refused it because she didn't want to use her uncle's connections to get a position. And then she ended up becoming Deputy Director General of the Department of Trade and Industry, working under Alec Irwin as well. And she left that because of the various moral dilemmas that she found at her workplace. And even now, she does a whole lot of consultancy work. President Ramaphosa was speaking about the just energy transition. She's one of the advisors on his committee as well. She advises President Ramaphosa and advises Minister Gwede Mantashe, with regards to, what is it? The minerals, whatever. What's the mining charter,
sure,
etc. Just energy transition as
moving into greener energy and
all of that stuff.
Sure.
She's attended all the COPs, whatever, COP, all the COPs. She's what do they call if you if you are complying with the police, there's some word that they say, oh, whatever it is, she cooperates with the cops. You know what I mean? And
easy on the bars.
Yeah, so I guess they're trying to co-opt those in power to move in a way that they don't disenfranchise people that are dependent on the legacy industries, the extractive industries that are part of, our power generation industry and also part of our emissions contributions as far as carbon is concerned. And she's a director at the Institute of Economic Justice. So, yeah.
Okay, so you've attended MK, ANC briefings. Why have you not attended DA and EFF?
Yeah, I thought about attending the last DA one, but I just thought it was a sham. I mean, I tried to get a meeting and sitting with Mpho. She was still mayor of Johannesburg, and then I realized that she's actually got no power whatsoever, and she's just being used by the DA. So I felt like there's no way I would want to be seen as proximus to the DA just by virtue of attending such things. The same way as, if I attend the ANC conference, I could be seen as proximus to the ANC, but that's not as destructive to my personal brand as it would be if I were seen to be empathetic to the cause of the DA.
Okay,
Yeah.
I won't go down that rabbit hole. Jacob Zuma is part of the ANC.
I mean, you've been there. You joined AfriForum and you saw the backlash that you got for that. You know what I mean?
I hear you, but I'm going on the notion that you said you're interested in politics.
Yeah.
And if you're interested in politics, I'd assume that you'd have an interest in the top 3, maybe top 4 political parties, being the ANC, DA, of course, and then at some point it was the EFF, which has now been overtaken by the MK, and now EFF. So I'd assume that you'd attend all of them to show that you have no bias. So I thought maybe there'd be a specific reason why you didn't attend them versus your personal brand and how you feel about
the
it.
ANC conference.
I hear you, but why not the DA and the EFF? Because they're also still big political players.
Government with the ANC.
That's good enough for you.
I'm just saying, are they not?
They've been the official opposition since.
I know that's what they've been presenting to the public, and we know from this genesis of our discussion that what is being presented to the public is not always the truth.
Okay, I'll tell you what I'm reading from what you're saying. You're an ANC guy, and
an SACP child.
SACP. Okay, but from someone from the outside listening to what you just said, you're an ANC guy. And
ANC, SACP is yeah.
Sure, tripartite alliance.
Yeah.
And with Zuma breaking away with the MK, which used to be the MK of old, the military wing of the ANC, it's almost an SACP and others. It still falls within the same umbrella, so you don't mind.
Yeah.
And anything that's maybe an opposition to the ANC maybe might be a problem, of which the EFF at some point was almost an offshoot of the ANC. You've never been a supporter of the EFF?
I just think that the DA is a neoliberal lobby, and the EFF is just an outlet valve for the frustrated youth that don't.
You've never been an EFF supporter?
I have. I voted for the EFF.
Okay.
At their formation under the Zuma presidency. When
which
Zuma was
that?
president, I voted for the EFF.
For the EFF?
Yeah. 20 what? What is it? 20 something.
I don't remember. I remember
2014 or something.
I voted for the EFF 2019, so I guess it was the elections after.
2014.
You voted EFF?
Yeah.
Okay.
My entire family voted EFF.
Jacob Zuma was. I'm noting what you're saying.
I hard for that.
For your family?
Yeah, within the family, because we discuss we vote as a family.
I appreciate that. That's important, by the way. It's one of the things that even with the elections that were coming this year in 2024, with our frustrations, with my frustrations with the political system, I'm like, you're trying to convince people on Twitter to vote a certain way, but you haven't tried lobbying your own family.
Yeah.
Your own gran, your own mom. They're voting for a certain party and you're not happy. But who are you expecting to convince if you're failing at home?
Okay. Taking it to the convincing level is a little further than, where I was. I'm saying lobbying, you know what I mean? But we have political debates at home all the time. In fact, every single conversation we have when we're gathered is a political debate because, there's a state of the nation that we are experiencing. You know what I mean? We either sit in traffic, we're either on our way to our parents' place, drive over potholes, we notice things, and these are the things that we have to discuss about our communities, and the politics of our community are central to, any discussions that we have about our families, because our families exist within a certain society that is founded on the principles of, democracy and the politics thereof. You're upset, but I think it should be shocking. For me, I cannot even imagine a family that does not discuss politics. What are you discussing?
I'm upset by what?
You're saying that, people are tweeting and lobbying people on social media, but they're not lobbying their own family. But I'm just shocked that, hold on, wait, there are people that don't discuss politics with their family and then just go out there onto social media.
No, they discuss. That's how they know that their family members are voting for certain parties.
Oh, okay.
But I'm saying they're failing to lobby, whatever you call it, debate, negotiate. By convince, I don't mean force. I mean just try and sell the concept of other vehicles. I'm saying people are struggling at home, but then they're hoping on social media to convince my parents when you couldn't convince your own.
Okay.
Kanjani. So I'm saying it's best to start alone.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. I understand what you're saying, but yeah. No, man. Anyone that is alive needs to understand that our lived experience is based on the politics of this country, and unfortunately for us, only 400 people get selected or get appointed.
Yeah.
Out of the electorate based on the proportionality rules, and those 400 representatives needs to be representatives of the people that either voted for whatever party has appointed those people to serve in parliament. So it should be central to all discussions. I mean, as soon as you start talking mama, papa, and then from then on, you should be talking politics or seeing politics,
Jacob Zuma was deputy president for 2 terms under Thabo Mbeki, even though he got axed at some point.
What was it, 2 terms?
Almost 2. He almost never finishes his things.
Yeah.
And then he was almost 2 terms as well as a president. Yeah. And he was under an ANC political party that speaks about or cherishes non-racialism.
His ANC terms, though.
His ANC terms, of course, definitely. But as
all of them.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
You want to emphasize that?
No, I'm just saying. In terms of a leader of the party and deputy of the party, he finished all his terms.
But as a representative in parliament, there was
that's where
disturbance.
it was moved, yeah. And that's because our political representatives in parliament are appointed, not elected.
Appointed by the
party.
Political party to represent them.
Yes.
Sure. So Zuma's had a lot of power, in my understanding and in many people's understanding, under a political party that screams non-racialism, that screams non-sexism, and.
Okay.
He now branches off with MK, which he borrows from the ANC without necessarily the approval of the current leadership of the ANC. And he's speaking about pro-black and progressive forces, which our understanding is he means black parties. Don't you think he's being a hypocrite in that, in wanting to focus on black now and not have done that in the past? I mean, he could have joined the PAC. He could have gone with any other party that was more Pan-African and more pro-black in its outlook. Isn't this just convenient because that's the wave now?
So I was going to start where you started, but you assisted me by saying he could have joined the PAC. Do the PAC have power?
No.
Exactly. The ANC has power.
But MK didn't have power until this year.
The MK don't have power. They're not in power.
Okay. So we can agree on that.
So we can't say Zuma was in power, because the ANC was in power, and when the ANC was in power, they removed him from his position of leadership.
But he was never for pro-black, is my argument. He was never in the ANC pushing pro-black.
So the thing is that why would you blame Zuma for what he was appointed to do by the ANC, which is the party that you elected? So,
but that would mean that he's not his own man. That would mean he'll do whatever he's being sent to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So he could have been sent. He could have been sent by the ANC to go and set up MK.
As the disciplined, as a disciplined member, he has to follow the party line, right?
Which he's not doing now.
Which is why he's been expelled, because he hasn't.
Yes, but he's not following the party line.
Therefore,
and the setting up of MK, as far as we know, was also not following the party line. So where's the discipline there?
So he's being ill-disciplined, right?
Sure.
So therefore he doesn't have power, because there's people that have power, which is the actual mother body, the ANC itself, that has the power to discipline him, to expel him, to appoint him in a position as presidency, etc., etc. They've got the power, and he's just, the actor, the performer of their power. He's got influence. Maybe he can lobby within the body. He can use his leadership position to lobby more people to favor the direction in which he'd like the party to go. But the party is the party, and the party is who has the power.
If they hadn't asked him to step down, he'd still be, putting it crassly, a puppet for whatever the ANC wants him to do. And the only reason he's doing this now is because he's not getting things his way.
He's always been. He's a soldier. When the MK was a military...
Okay, let me repeat what I'm saying.
Into a guerrilla movement, right? He was a soldier.
Okay.
Right? And there's a chain of command, right? He wasn't at the top of the MK's chain of command. He was appointed into a position of like intelligence gatherer or whatever the case may be, and he's always been appointed. So this is the first time where he's leading an organization which he's founded. And this is the first time where you can say maybe he's got power in an organization. It's the first time. He couldn't have had that in the ANC. It was founded before he was born. uMkhonto weSizwe party was founded when he was a very young man. I mean, when was Jacob Zuma born? He's a baby boomer. I think he was born in 46 or something.
No idea. But I think he's late 70s, if not early 80s. Yeah.
He's 82 now, which means my dad is 72. He's 10 years older than my dad. My dad was born in 52. He's 42. So he's just missed the baby boomer, like on the dot. A baby boomer starts from 1946 to 1964. But he's of that generation, I guess.
So we agree that he's currently being ill-disciplined.
Yes.
And he's going against...
And he's being disciplined for
ANC directive.
And he's being disciplined for that as well.
My question to you is, if things were still going arguably his way, and he was still president of the ANC, and he was still being asked to represent the ANC in parliament, he wouldn't be doing all of this. So this almost seems like a personal issue. It is not an ANC issue. Yeah. He's not saying the ANC asked me to do this anymore. He's now acting in his own accord.
Yes.
But he never acted in his own accord because it was convenient for him at the time, because he was president.
Or impossible. He was
he was
deputy president and he was removed.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying
he was president and he was removed.
He was still respecting it because he had some level of whatever.
No, because he
not
could be
power,
removed.
But some leadership position.
Yeah, because he could be removed. And the ANC was too powerful to be challenged at the point in time. And at the point in time when...
And it's not anymore?
It's got less than 50%, so it doesn't have...
No, but the less than 50% is arguable.
It's got less than 50%.
But it's arguable.
It's arguable if you believe that the DA is a proxy of the ANC, yes.
No, forget the DA. If you take the ANC's 40 and MK's 14...
39.7%, yeah.
And you take the MK's 14, that takes you to 54. So it's arguable that the ANC now, it's Cyril plus Zuma
if you respect
equals over 50%.
If you respect the dual membership.
But no, forget dual membership.
No, if you respect the dual membership, yes.
My point is, if Zuma had stayed in the ANC, we don't know if the ANC would have gone under 50. That's my argument. So you would not have known that the ANC has now lost power until he decided to sucker punch them.
We can assume that because the EFF did not take the votes from the ANC, which they lost, and that the ANC took those votes, lost those votes primarily to the MK. Because from a number of votes perspective, that's where they really lost it. The EFF only lost votes to the PA, the gap in where the EFF was and where they are in terms of votes counted, not in terms of percentage, but in terms of votes counted, is exactly the same with the PA from the previous election. So the EFF shrank by as many votes as the PA grew.
In terms of number of votes?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the ANC shrank by a comparable, like a reasonable number of votes compared to what the MK were able to gain in their first election. So, when you look at it like that, you can say that his act, and when you listen to the admissions of the leadership of the ANC right now, whether it be Gwede Mandashe, who I think might be the next state president, or whether it's Fikile Mbalula, who's the person that signed the GNU agreement with Federal Chair Helen Zille. You can say that the votes that the ANC lost, they lost them to the MK, and they also lost them to the dejected voter base that chose to stay away from the elections, that have no more faith in our democratic system anymore.
I need you to give me a final answer on this, because it's important for me, especially with with my tweet. Jacob Zuma's always been a disciplined member of the ANC, as far as we know. He's gone on speeches and he said, if the ANC deploys me, if the ANC requires this, I will serve. This becomes his first deviation.
Yes.
As far as we know.
Yes.
At
He's
that
also
level.
said that no one is bigger than the ANC.
Sure. In that, my question to you was, would he still be doing this? If he was still had some favorable leadership position or some voice that made any type of impact in the ANC? Or is it only convenient now that...
ZZ won in 2017.
As an example.
Would he be doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Which means he's acting in his personal accord. It's no longer acting on behalf of the ANC,
Well, I don't think,
which he claims to be saving, or trying to save.
I don't think you can call it a personal accord when there's many more other members of the ANC who have left and joined him at the MK for the same reason. And the slate which he was supporting at the 2017 conference, was powerful enough to, I guess, achieve a draw in terms of the top 6 leadership at the time. You know what I mean? Ace Magashule was elected as Secretary General, and all of those people are
Didi Mabuza,
who's
who's
faction.
wishy-washy at the end, but he was also there.
He's the one you can say has always acted in his own personal interests. Didi Mabuza. You know what I mean? To the point of even stepping out of the contention, because usually the deputy president succeeds the president, right?
If the party asks you to.
No, anyone can be nominated.
What I'm saying
not
is
the party, the branches.
Sure, but what I'm saying is for him to personally say no thanks when the ANC is asking him to contest makes it a personal.
You understand what I'm saying? And that's exactly what he did.
So in your opinion, you still believe that Zuma is doing ANC work in being ill-disciplined?
I believe that he's doing the work of a certain faction of the ANC, and all organizations are factional. Even families are factional. You know what I mean? Yeah. Your parents don't treat you the same as siblings. Just a nuclear family is also factional.
Do you feel...
when you get into a marriage, it's also factional. With the way your kids experience it. There's kids that say, "Ish, dad's side of the family, that's who really loves you," or mom's side of the family, that's factional. And anything, even a small organization like a family, is factional. So I believe he's acting in the interests of that certain faction and creating a home for them outside the ANC, because they don't have influence, or they've been completely displaced by the Ramaphosa faction.
Do you feel that Terra Likota and Bazi Mashilowa in the setting up of COPE were also doing the same thing? They were also acting on behalf of an ANC faction.
Of Mbekiysts.
Well, you call it Mbekiysts, some would call it MK Zumaists. But it's a faction within the ANC that feels this is the original ANC.
I don't think it's about this is the original ANC. I think that the ANC is a contested space, like all organizations.
But at any point, they think that this is the right ANC.
This is the right direction for the ANC.
Whichever one they push it.
Yeah.
Would you feel the EFF, even though Julius and them were expelled, were also doing the same? Because they were still big on nationalization, getting the land, etc., which the ANC kind of started keeping quiet about.
What they were trying to do is say, if we lobby for this and we get enough voter support, then you'll be forced to follow us to stem the tide of votes that you're losing.
Are we being forced to constantly support the ANC no matter what? In forms of COPE, EFF, MK, we don't know who else.
Today.
And no one seems to believe in themselves beyond the ANC.
Yeah.
We're held by our balls as a country. Yeah. And anyone who breaks away is not really breaking away. They're just trying to have a better argument so the ANC can change. Well, that means the ANC has a monopoly, most regardless.
It had a monopoly. Right now it's got a majority. So, yeah, it still has the most influence. It's got the most power.
Yeah.
It's got the most sway.
but for the first time, it doesn't have that monopoly. It has just the majority, which is under 50.
It's like, let me put it to you like this, nah? It's like dating everyone's dream girl. She might not be good to you, but everyone is like that dream girl. If you break up with her because she cheats and whatever the case may be, even if you keep it secret to yourself, when you break up, people will say, you fumbled. That's exactly it. So Zuma has got 14%, the ANC's got 40%. If he broke up with the ANC, he fumbled. But because he's still playing both sides, it's as if he's like, I don't know Varasha. It's like the ANC is his baby mama.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yes, she might be with a new white man now, but he's got baby daddy privileges. Like literally, like Tutukile Zuma. Because Damini Zuma. I mean, that's his baby mama and she's still in the ANC. You know what I mean? He's got those baby daddy privileges.
Yeah, he does have people firmly within the ANC, certain structures.
You understand? That's why he's always saying, hey, go.
My understanding of how the ANC has operated for the longest time is it's a contestation of ideas.
Yeah.
You're within the ANC and whatever idea you have can be tabled at any given time. And the challenge is incumbent upon you to be able to push a superior argument, of which some people now argue that Ramaphosa didn't have a superior argument, he had a superior pocket to ascend.
No.
But the argument is always, or my understanding has always been, have a superior argument. And when you don't, you lose. Whether it's NDZ, Jacob Zuma, or anyone else.
That's the impression.
Is this not now, why are you being sour? Clearly your argument was not good enough.
No, the argument is completely irrelevant.
What does that mean?
What I'm saying is that the EFF has got the best argument on the table.
But they couldn't sway people within the ANC
because people
to buy
don't care
that.
about the argument. People care about the people that they're voting for.
You're saying that whole story is rubbish.
I'm saying that the impression that they create is that it's a battle of ideas, but it's
it's
not
not
a battle of ideas. It's a popularity contest,
I hear you.
and that's it.
Going back to my tweet and everything that you've said up till now, Jacob Zuma, let me read this part again.
For those that revisit it,
No, I want to
this
go
is a
back.
very calm debate. I won't lie.
Oh, did you want heat? No, we're not here for heat.
It's like this guy. How Vanal Penwell? No, Taman. Yeah, we are mega pen.
We're both
gonna say in the
tradesmen.
comments. Yeah.
Zuma is obsessed with rescuing the same ANC that has failed the people for over 30 years. He's too interested in getting back into top ANC structures than building an alternative vehicle that can serve the people. Do you agree or disagree with it?
Sometimes you stay with your cheating baby mama.
I hear you.
Knowing or not knowing whether the kids are yours, you stay with your cheating baby mama. Everyone knows that she's cheating. You know what I mean? People can see that she's cheating, but you're staying with her because you know the true reasons why you're staying with her. And sometimes the true reason is because you actually depend on her.
Is that what you're saying?
He depends on the ANC, yes.
Do you agree that Zuma is not prioritizing the oppressed, poor people in South Africa and he's prioritizing the ANC?
I think he's prioritizing the quickest route to power with his influence.
That's the priority, not the people, not upliftment.
I think that you cannot uplift the people until you've got power. It's the
I
argument
understand. But what do you think the
Mackenzie was
priority
saying.
is?
It's the argument Gate and Mackenzie was saying. We're saying, guys, we understand when we're campaigning for the elections, we're very adversarial, there's a lot of animosity. But when the elections are done and it's decided, it's about the quickest route to power. And that's what his quickest route to power is to ensure that those who are loyal to the ANC to a fault don't feel like he stabbed them in the back and don't feel like they don't have an alternative if the ANC that they envisaged as their liberators doesn't materialize.
This is a personal question for you, outside of diplomacy.
Okay, who did I vote for? No.
Do you think Zuma wants power for the people?
Yeah.
Or for something else? Whether the something else is himself or the future or whatever, but do you think his priority for attaining power, to what you said, is to uplift the people or for something else?
So how many kids have you given this cheating baby mama? how much have you invested in that relationship? You know what I mean?
Your whole life,
You know?
since you were a kid.
And if this relationship breaks apart, it's going to destroy you. Your reputation is destroyed. You're looked at as a rejected man. You're looked at as an undesirable man. And
She even has a white man now.
you understand? So I think he wants to protect his legacy by having some form of success, some form of triumph.
His
ultimate
personal legacy.
Before
His
he
personal legacy.
departs. Yes,
Personal legacy.
personal legacy.
Do you think he's been convenient with the pro-black?
I think that, he's shown through action that he's pro-black. Black business was doing a whole lot better under the Zuma
I
administration.
think almost all of us know that Zuma's pro-black. It's always been, because white people have never loved him, ever.
I wouldn't say that
I mean,
white people have never...
generally.
No, I wouldn't say that white people have never loved him.
Go for it.
Because I think white people are diverse as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So not all white people. I just feel like
Sure, not all white people.
the British didn't love him. And there was a contestation between the British and the Afrikaners in South Africa throughout our history. You know what I mean? And that's what Barry Herzog was fighting for. He was fighting for Afrikanism. And by the time he departed in 1942, he'd almost delivered it. By 1948, they've had the power. You know what I mean? So Hendrik Verwoerd, Botha, and etc. could enact the laws that could really uplift the Afrikaners. And they did. The Afrikaners were indigent.
That's correct.
And they're now not. They've reduced their poverty rates. And if you look at our poverty rates across the board in the country, the highest percentage amongst the poor people is black people. And if you look at generational wealth, I mean, white people, if you just look at them as a bracket, they've got inheritable wealth at a rate of almost 50%. The British or English or those of British descent have still more of that if you compare them to white Afrikaners. And then Indians come third, Khaleds come fourth, and blacks are stone last with, I think, just over 2% of, or just under 2% of inheritable wealth.
Is your argument that white Afrikaners were more supportive of Zuma?
Yeah. I think he was more supportive of them.
Based on what?
Based on the fact that, he was able to collaborate with them and use their capital.
Which Afrikaners?
There's a lot of Afrikaners that, people don't know as prominent Afrikaners. I mean, one of the funders of the MK party, this Liebenberg guy.
Louis Liebenberg.
You know what I mean? He's one of those Afrikaners. He was also involved in a lot of the diamond mining that they were doing in the Northern Cape. Even some of the other, iron ore mining that was done by other small companies. I mean, they founded the state-owned diamond mining company under the Zuma administration.
State-owned?
Yeah.
Diamond mining company?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, those are some of the things.
But that's one Afrikaner.
Yeah.
That could be like one
But the
Gupta, one Vivian Reddy.
The Oppenheimers are German Jews.
Correct?
They're not Afrikaners.
Correct.
So you understand what I'm saying? They were opposed to the Afrikaners as well. The Oppenheimers being German Jews, when the space was being contested most fervently was during the Second World War. And the Jan Smuts party, the South African party, were very much in favor of the British involvement.
That is correct. Jan Smuts is a very polarizing figure in the Afrikaner communities, specifically for that. Because I think even Churchill was a big supporter of Jan Smuts, and Afrikaners felt like he was a sellout at some point.
He did.
But I'm asking, which other Afrikaners besides Louis Liebenberg?
Well, I don't
know, maybe Charles Senecal.
I don't know all of them by name, and I can't.
But you reckon there's a significant, because the reason I'm asking this,
significant contingent of them.
the reason I'm asking this, or not asking, I was asking about the pro-black. Generally, not all, generally it felt like all white people, of British descent and Afrikaners, didn't like Zuma.
We're talking about white Afrikaners.
Sure, but I was just saying,
There are
generally,
more black Afrikaners than there are white Afrikaners, and I think that a lot more of the black Afrikaners favor Zuma than white British people do.
based on what? You speak about colours now.
Just
I'm just asking, during the Zuma years, my understanding is that it was real blacks, the non-clever blacks, the undereducated and the marginalized, loved Zuma a lot.
Those colored
And it felt like the coloreds who would get favor from white people, and the white people, English, Afrikaans speaking,
yes.
and half of the Indian population, because the other half loved Zuma as well. All of those people didn't like Zuma, and it seems like you're countering that.
Yeah, I'm saying that.
And I'm asking based on what? It can't just be Louis Liebenberg and other whites.
Okay, let's just say there were more white and black Afrikaners that found a home in the ANC under the Zuma administration.
You really believe this?
I mean, the votes show it. The number of the votes.
You really believe this?
If you break down the numbers of the votes, the communities where the votes came from, where the ANC lost its most support, you know what I mean? Where other parties gained, whether it be the Freedom Front Plus, the Patriotic Alliance, the Democratic Alliance. You know, I mean, the Democratic Alliance voter base was predominantly of British descent in the beginning. You know what I mean? And that's changed a lot since Zuma has left politics or left leadership of the ANC. His last election as president was 2000 and what? What it was supposed to end in. When was his presidency supposed to end in?
I'm not sure. In 2024 now, so 2019.
So
that election when Ramaphosa became president.
So the last time they had to
officially
vote, so if you look at the voting patterns from 2014, yes, he had more votes. You know what I mean? Like across the board.
That's your argument
for the ANC that he was able to win.
That's your argument.
Yeah, that's my argument. And
that the ANC has lost certain white Afrikaner, colored Afrikaner
white support under Ramaphosa. They've lost more colored support under Ramaphosa.
Therefore, you're assuming these people are more pro-Zuma.
Black support as well.
Sure.
You know what I mean? The votes, I'm not assuming, the votes say that. If they voted for Zuma, they were pro-Zuma. He's the face that was there when they marked an X.
Let's go back to my question. So you're saying it's not what people say, it's what they do.
That's it.
And you feel Zuma was more pro-black even in his actions under the ANC. So you don't think...
Even though white businesses benefited the most while he was in power as well.
Even more than under Mbeki and Mandela?
I mean, if the buying power of black increases and the means of production and the capital is white, the standard of living that increases for the black people only contributes to their purchasing power of white-made products.
I hear you.
So, the rising tide raises all boats.
So you don't think he's been convenient now with pro-black? He's just echoing or verbalizing how he's always acted?
I don't think that you can win votes, even racist white votes, without the economics being beneficial for them, right? Number one. So now let's look back at that. If black people are poorer, right, and the producers of goods are white in the main, they suffer because black people are poorer.
Correct.
That's all it is.
Do you think most white people understand this?
Martin Marshall or whatever. I mean, the more black people that have money, the more customers Capitec has.
Do you think most white people understand this?
That
it's in their best interest for black people to have money, more money.
Yeah.
Do you think most of them understand this?
Yeah, I do.
You don't think they work against uplifting black people in the way they vote, in the way they run their businesses, in the way they invest offshore versus locally?
Okay, so I just want a positive question. Who do you think treats black employees better, whites or blacks?
I think from my personal knowledge,
what you've heard from black people,
from my personal knowledge,
how enthusiastic they are about their work, depending on the color of their boss.
My personal knowledge is that Indian employers are the worst, followed by black, and then white people. Black people would rather work for a white person than a black person,
or an Indian,
and would rather work for a black person than an Indian person. So that's your stance.
That's what I've experienced myself as well. And that's just anecdotally. I haven't done like a study on this, but I'm just saying like a white maid gets a car. Who have you ever seen a black person buying their maid a car? You know what I mean? The car maybe just to pick up the kids from school or whatever, but she gets taught how to drive.
Yeah.
She's got a skill for that. You understand what I'm saying? Black people who work for white people are empowered more. And a lot of maids have gone up, progressed in life.
And with their children.
You understand what I'm
Their
saying? Where children live.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, how many black families house their maids' children and then also put them in schools proximus to where they live? I've seen it. I grew up like that. When I moved to the suburbs, you know, in 1993, all my black friends were maids' children. You know what I mean?
I understand.
And that's all that was.
Outside of Jacob Zuma,
and also, like, they had the same maid from the time we were kids until we grew up and
so there's no
I had a new
high
maid every year. You know what I mean?
Your personal opinion on political parties versus civil organizations. I normally use AfriForum as the example, and black people wanting to effect change. Do you support that over political parties, or do you believe political parties are still the number one vehicle for change for the average black child or the average poor person in this country?
I think civic organizations are a way for political parties to lobby the public without facing backlash or being liable. It's not like the DA is liable for AfriForum doing all it's doing to challenge the Bella Act.
Correct.
And therefore, they can distance themselves from what AfriForum is doing. But trust me, a lot of their voter base is in support of AfriForum, and they'll never denounce them. So I think that's the purpose of these civic organizations as well, is to allow the political parties to act in a certain manner without having their voter base dwindle because they're seen to support unpopular lobbies.
You don't think they can be influential on their own?
Well, without the politics, who are they influencing? Without the politicians and the political parties. Though that's who they're trying to influence. And they are out there raising funds within the public outside of the purview of the Political Party Funding Act. You know? And then they can then use those funds as well to donate to the political party or to do the bidding of the political party, whether it be cutting grass in Swane or, you know, marching against the Bella Bill at the Fort Tracker Monument.
Do you believe in our political system? Do you think black people, if you had things your way, you should believe in this political system and we should be getting more people to vote and to get actively involved? Or do you think we need different governance structures?
I think we need to improve our self-image as black people, and that will make us more selfish and self-interested, and we act in our own best interests in more instances than we do not. And I feel like that's what we need to be focused on. I feel like we've done nothing as black people to actually create an identity for our people that we can be proud of. You know what I mean? We're not proud of our identity in the way we should be, you know, and yet, I mean, we've got more numbers than Afrikaners. We had this discussion the first time I came into the Penal show, and I said, we don't need to fight whites. And you were like, well, as black people, maybe we do need to descend to violence. And I'm like, yo, the white population is dwindling if we're actually patient enough. You know what I mean? By the time Unkuns is your age, the white population will, you know, be 75% of what it is right now.
Damn.
You know what I mean? By the time
white people are not making babies like us.
They can't. They can't. They don't have wide enough hips, unfortunately, and they're not as fertile. You know what I mean? Which also is another reason why their teenage pregnancy rate is a lot less than ours. You know, it's a lot more difficult for little white girls to get pregnant than it is for little black girls. They're just more fertile, you know. I mean, it's not a big difference, but it's a significant enough difference. I mean, how many white girls having sex on the first time without a condom get pregnant versus black girls that have sex for the first time without a condom that do get pregnant? And if you look at the number of black girls versus the number of white girls, you know, it just doesn't make sense when you look at how we grew up amongst white people, going to schools with white kids and knowing that white girls were more sexually active than black girls when we were younger.
I can't confirm. I don't know. I'm listening to you.
What do you mean?
Like, I can't agree because I don't know.
Did you go to a multiracial school?
I did. But I didn't know.
So, okay.
But I'm listening
to you or not, like, which girls were having the most sex between the white girls and the black girls?
That would be me knowing. I didn't know.
Okay.
But I'm hearing you.
So think about it like this.
You're saying that
girls don't
white.
even have virginity testing.
Okay.
You're from KZN. So you just put that together. Don't look at the raw numbers, just look at it from a percentage base. And if you look at white culture, white people marry women that have got 3 kids, have been divorced twice and whatever. For us, it's still taboo, Even you, I mean, like, it's not like you choose women that have got children with other men. You know what I mean? You deliberately try to, like, if I'm going to give this woman children, let my children be the first children.
I don't deliberately do that.
Yes,
Sorry, but generally a guy would deliberately do that.
Well, I mean, you choose.
This is not about me.
No, I'm just saying.
But
But the women don't come to you and say, "Yo, give me babies."
Generally,
You choose the woman that
a guy
you want to go
that has children
with, right?
Generally, a guy that has children will still opt for a woman with no children. You're
That's
correct.
true. But more white. Okay, even think about it like this: how many black children who've got stepfathers take their stepfather's surnames versus white children who've got stepfathers that take their stepfather's surnames?
I want to go back to my question. Do you think that black people need to be buying into this?
Also, like where I was in school, you guys were more mixed. There's a lot of Indians in Newcastle, but you guys were more mixed. Mina, like, I was like almost the only black kid in my school. You know what I mean? So like I was really, really outnumbered. So I could really, really see it. You know what I mean?
But then you wouldn't be able to see the black
while
girls.
I was in primary school,
You wouldn't be able to see the black girls.
The white girls knew about sex. They knew about birth control. They knew about all these things. When I got to high school, it was all black. And all of the girls were like, hey, sex, no. You know what I mean? More stricter until maybe they got to 16, 17 and started sleeping with transport drivers and whatever.
Jeez.
You know what I mean?
But anyways, you're sharing your personal experience.
Yeah.
Which is very important. Sure.
Anecdotally.
I want to go back to my question. Do you think black people, do you personally still believe in this kind of
I'm
political
just saying that
system?
little white girls are having sex.
We heard you.
But they're not getting pregnant the same way little black girls are.
We heard you.
And I'm saying there's a number of reasons, whether it be the fertility, whether it's the education about sex, prevention, access to resources, etc., etc. And I'm also talking about, in terms of our culture, purity is only respected in the black culture. You know what I mean? We're the only ones that say, marry virgins or whatever. White people don't give a shit about that.
Okay. No comment on that.
No, like as a personal individual.
I hear what you're saying.
One white person might say, Mina, I will only marry a virgin, but I'm talking about culturally. And when we're culturally...
I'm not going to comment on that. But I hear you. You've said your say.
Okay, cool.
My question is, do you believe in this political system we have? And do you think,
do you
believe the majority of the population should be... We still have less than half of eligible voters voting. Do you think more people should be voting? Do you believe in this system?
Yeah.
Or should we be looking into other governance
I
structures?
feel not voting is a vote.
I hear you.
It's saying that there's no option worth my vote. And that takes a lot of political maturity as well, because you know what's at stake.
But we're assuming those become assumptions.
Not really.
Really? There's no data out there that I've come across
on election day
that has said that the majority of people who do not vote are like, oh, I don't have a party to vote for.
Election
We
day
assume.
is usually a public holiday.
Correct.
Okay.
It's a free day
It's a free day, right?
to drink, party, catch up,
Clean.
go on holiday.
And what are you doing on election day as an alternative to voting, which is more fun than voting?
It's not fun. People are drinking, partying, chilling, catching
in the
up
lines
on
as well,
whatever.
having whatever in the lines.
You know that because you vote.
Yeah,
Other people don't vote.
And
And we can
the thing
only
is-
assume why they don't.
yeah, but
But we can't assume that it's because they are so politically mature that they're like, well, I've looked at all the manifestos. I haven't
what they
found a
usually
party
say.
that speaks to me.
That's
There's
what they
no
say
way.
when you ask them, why didn't you vote?
No one reads manifestos.
Mfana,
No one reads
uvotela
manifestos.
Zuma, uvotela Julius, uvotela Helen, like bonke bayaphetha mfana mina ngizingeni lezi zinto. And the way they see themselves, I think that your perception of them needs to also be broader, because you're seeing them the way you see them, but how they see themselves. You understand what I'm saying? It's like someone who thinks they're smart. They think they're smart. It doesn't matter if they're giving the wrong answers all the time, but they're convinced they're smart. You know what I mean? Or they're convinced that they've got a certain opinion. And when we look at opinions and beliefs, when someone is able to stay true to their beliefs, wrong or right, at least you can then say that they've got their own thinking. Doesn't matter whether there's external influences that inform that thinking. At least they're thinking for themselves. And like, damn it, I'm thinking for myself, and I'm not voting. And all of you in the line, I'm laughing at you. I'm driving past you. I'm going to Pick and Pay to shop, because the lines are empty. There's only 3 tills open. All of that stuff. Those are informed choices that they're making.
Do you still believe in this system?
I believe in this, like that. I believe that people have the choice.
Now I'm asking, do you believe in this
Yes, I
system,
believe
or
in the
do you
system of
think
choice.
there should be other alternative governance systems?
I don't think we found any better system that can replace the current system immediately.
You believe it's the best?
I believe that it's the most convenient. And
Is it
I
the
don't
best?
think that we choose the best. We always choose the most convenient.
I'm asking you personally.
Yeah. I think that it's the most convenient. I don't think it's the best system.
What do you think would be the best system?
Monarchy.
Having a king or a queen,
A good king.
which you can't really choose.
a lottery.
But for you, that would be the best governance
That's the best
system.
governance system.
Do you
The
think
good king is the best governance system.
those of us who are trying within our lifetime to have some type of impact, do you think we should be trying to push a bit for that as a parallel to get in future people to buy into your opinion of the best system with a hopefully good king or queen?
I think that we've progressed too far as a global community for that.
But if it's
Very
the best,
hard.
even
It's very
today,
hard to lobby people for monarchy.
no, don't lobby
The only
monarchy.
reason the only reason the British monarchy is surviving is because they lie about its influence. You understand what I'm saying? Is they're able to convince people that no, it's got no influence, even though the sun doesn't set on their land. You know what I mean? The sun goes around and it's always shining on a piece of land that they own. You know, Donald Trump bows down to Prince William. You know what I mean?
Let's go back to Zuma. So Zuma becomes, according
Even
to
though he said nonsense about Harry,
who?
Donald Trump said, he's gonna regret this decision of marrying that girl. You know what I mean?
Going back to Zuma.
Zuma. If Zuma could, he'd be the king of the Zulus.
I wrote a tweet about that and I got attacked by a lot of people. I wasn't surprised
And therefore,
'Cause I've realized
that's my belief.
the
That's
majority of people really. Anyways, but that's my opinion. Going back to Zuma, so we almost agree that he is currently an ill-disciplined member of the ANC, of which he's been expelled as the ANC.
Of course, the worst disciplined.
You made an
The
example
worst. He even calls it Kakoko.
Jeez. You touched on Ubongi Nkosi Kanyile, who was one of the faces of Fees Must Fall.
Yeah, he's one of the fallists.
One of the faces of Fees Must Fall.
One of the fallists. That's what the general term that we
The fallist.
refer. Yeah, the roads must fallist, fees must fallist.
So himself in
He's one of the
youth,
convicted ones.
in the youth structures of MK,
Yeah.
he's not the only one. We've had members of parliament recalled. We've had
Well,
people
people
be
members of
removed.
parliament. He can never be a member of parliament until
Forget
he's
him.
served the 5 years that it needs to be served after your sentence for you to be cleared of your criminal record. So you understand what I'm saying?
Even if he was,
There's a certain
even if
level of
they wanted him.
There are 4 lists that were taken over, the PYA members that went into the ANC parliamentary caucus. You know what I mean? There's a lot of them. There's the Indian girl, the black girl. There's a lot of them. And then there are the ones that went to prison. About,
Ngazu Nompendulo is who you speak about in the
because,
ANC.
I mean, yeah.
And then
yeah,
Dlamini, so
and then
a Swati nation.
and the he's a 4 list because he's also an anti-Zuma must 4 list because he was also part of the instigation of the July riots.
So there's recalling of members of parliament, there's shifting people around, spitting people out, etc. And your
The
argument, and
resignations of members of parliament.
your
as well.
argument and other people's argument is that look, uMkhonto weSizwe is in its formative. I think Vusi Tembewayo said this on SMWX, weSizwe Mpofu Walsh.
Yeah.
This is a new organization. The last thing you want.
Hold on. Why did Vusi Tembewayo get 250,000 views within 2 days on your channel, but when he goes to SMWX, he gets like less than 100,000 views in the same amount of time?
I can answer that off camera, but I don't think I think it's got to do with algorithms more than anything.
Oh, and now you've got a bigger algorithm
No.
and everything else.
No, not my algorithm.
Okay, then why is it?
Because his episode is also an outlier on my channel.
I understand.
Yeah.
It's a very big outlier, right?
Yes.
And also the clips of it also don't outperform the original content. You know what I mean? Like usually you'll clip up things, right?
Yeah.
And there'll be one short clip that'll go more
crazy.
viral than the original
Yeah.
full thing as well. But with him, that's not the case.
I think I was lucky, and I think that was an outlier. I think it's of the algorithm.
Okay, give me some of your luck. Just give him a donkey.
So I think Vusi Tembewayo also alluded to this, and it almost sounds like you're saying the same. So you've broken away from the ANC. The last thing you want, which could have killed Cope as well, is to copy and paste what the ANC's done, because then you can't build something slightly alternative. And that's why Zuma's been the person to decide who goes, who comes, which some people in these formative times would be like, but this looks like a dictatorship. It doesn't look like democracy.
It is.
Someone else could argue that, look, because they're still building, you almost can't have democracy now until it's cemented. Then later on, you can bring in the democratic structures.
Okay.
With that backdrop, before you answer,
I just want to say that.
Okay.
So also the democratic centralism, which is not really a democracy, because when we vote for Zuma as president, right, of the ANC, and then his presidency lapses, but the ANC that voted him in is the ANC that got him to be the president of the country. And then when certain slates overpower the incumbent slate and remove him from power, it's not done through a vote. It's not an undemocratic process. So there's a lot of undemocratic processes, even with the parties that do have conferences. I mean, just to look at the EFF as an example, where Mbuyiseni Ndlozi seems to have been sidelined from participation in this upcoming. I mean, by the time this episode is up, it will be time for the National People's Assembly of the EFF, which is happening this weekend, right before
their national conference.
Yeah, right before the birthday of the MK party and the anniversary of the formation of uMkhonto weSizwe of old.
So that's the argument that some people are making, that look, it's still a new baby.
Mm-hmm.
Zuma kind of needs to have a strong arm or an iron fist on it until it's cemented. Then it can become more democratic. Outside of that explanation, do you believe that Zuma believes in democracy, number one?
Mm-hmm.
Do you personally believe in democracy?
No, I don't believe in democracy. I don't think anyone does.
You have to elaborate.
I think that democracy is forced upon us, right? If we could have it all our own way, we'd do it all our own way. If I could just remove Ramaphosa right now and do my own thing, I would do that. And
this is a real thing.
Like in real life.
You wish Ramaphosa could step down?
If I could personally remove him, yeah.
Okay.
Wishing him.
So you mean individuals don't believe in democracy?
No individual believes in democracy. You know what I mean? That's why where we can, we dictate.
Do you think Zuma is more to what we kind of are playing on now, would prefer more control like a king over his political party? And even if he was to go back and rescue the ANC or rebrand it as MK and have that power, do you think he'd want to remove some of the democratic channels that currently exist?
Even your younger brother wants to be king.
No, Penson is an asshole. We know this.
No, but I'm just saying, look, I'm not talking about you. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Penson's my homie. You know what I mean? And he's a baby making machine as well. Congratulations to you guys on that.
Thank you on behalf of the family.
Yeah, at least he's straight with the XY. When are you?
Got to diversify. We can't just have chance. We can't just have chance.
You know what I mean? He's making Caster Semenya one after the other.
Okay.
So
moving swiftly along.
XY chromosome. That's
moving swiftly along.
So
democracy. And do you think Zuma?
I'm saying Harry
would remove more.
Harry. Look at his behavior.
Prince Harry.
Look at his behavior. It's damn. I can't be king because I was born second. Nah, fuck it. I'm gonna destroy this whole entire thing. I'm gonna burn the village. You know what I mean? If I don't feel the warmth of the embrace of the community, I'll feel the warmth of the flames of my village burning down.
Come on.
That's it.
But I'm asking you personally, do you think Zuma in this power move that he's doing now is looking to remove some of the democratic channels we currently have?
Did he burn the village down? No, he didn't. He's still a member of the ANC. So,
well, he's not. He's been expelled, but he's trying to hold on.
Well, I mean, he's appealing, right? So let's wait for the appeal process to be over. As someone who's gone through such processes as well, and elected not to appeal and decided to serve my sentence, I understand that. I could have appealed as well. You know what I mean? And that was a choice. He could have burnt down the ANC village. And that was a choice, and he's he's preserving it. And the ANC, is the party that gave us our constitution. So as much as the rhetoric he espouses is very anti-constitutional, he was part of actually having this constitution enacted. And his objection to it right now also maybe adds more fervor to the point that I was making, that, he was acting on behalf of the ANC and didn't have power, might have had influence, but didn't have actual power under the ANC, even when he was its president. You know what I mean? And that's why they were able to remove him. I mean, even when Julius was Youth League president, he was expelled from the ANC and the Youth League as a provincial executive committee member in Limpopo. You know what I mean? So he was already part of the provincial executive. He was part of the Youth League executive as well. So I think that Zuma is looking for the quickest route to get his way. I think that is the only principle that he's acting on.
And generally, you think most South Africans would prefer his way than the current Ramaphosa/GNU way?
I can't say that because the votes don't say that. But I say that enough South Africans prefer his way for the ANC to be a big problem and a threat to all the other political parties, whether it be the DA, the EFF, the ANC, and any of the other ones that are competing for our votes. Yeah, man. I think that age as well influences that. It's like, before I die, let me get my way.
This might be my last question.
I mean, aren't our grandparents like that? Like
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%. We struggle with succession in many ways, and it's one of the things specifically for the black community that I think we need to work on.
We fight for our grandparents' houses after they're dead.
Correct.
Because they refuse to have that discussion while they're alive.
Correct. This might be my last question. I have a personal opinion on this, which I don't need to say today unless if you ask. Do you think the idea of black unity, somewhat progressive forces in the political space now, do you think it's one of the distractions of black people and one of the things we should be fighting against and saying, stop this concept of black unity and rather focus on uniting around shared ideas, shared values, more than a race? And this idea of black unity, which has almost never worked on the continent historically, is just a way to distract black people from actually building anything worthwhile.
There's never been black unity. So I believe it's a fallacy. And anything that is premised on a fallacy can either be successful or a failure, but it's always misleading.
Was there no black unity fighting in the struggle?
No. There were still black people bimbering other black people, necklacing other black people.
So do you so you reckon black unity should not be something we should be striving for?
I think it's a fallacy.
Should we not be striving?
You know what I mean? You are like an example of some level of black unity if you don't look at black unity as strictly African, right? Your parents were able to unite despite their various backgrounds and everything else. Your father did not insist that your mother is 100% pure Zulu.
Yeah.
I'm an example of it as well. You know, I'm mostly Tsonga, partly Xhosa, and to a lesser extent, partly Sotho. You know, so I'm a mix. My mother was a mix. You know what I mean? And I feel like there's very few of us mixes. And us mixes get further ahead because we're able to go into different spaces without the insecurity of needing people of our culture and tribe to be our supporters because of a loyalty to our nationhood as a people, right? And that supersedes anything else in general. You know what I mean? You are more Zulu than you are black. You are more Xhosa than you are black. Yeah, and whatever the case may be, even with the way in which we view colored people and the way colored people view African blacks, you know, we're all black, but colored. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the way it is. And our differences come out in the extremities. And in the center, you know, we just learn how to cooperate with one another. I guess, you know, I spent time in prison. We're discussing Mandela. We discussed.
Hey,
I'm on parole right now.
You and uMkhonto both got arrested for contempt of court.
Imagine.
Hey, clearly there's
You
leadership
see,
potential.
that's why I
here.
needed to debate this with you, because I was like, you know what, I get where uMkhonto is coming from. When I haven't spent time, you're not a banditi, man.
Hey. Scheme GP must invite you to Against the Wall. He invites all the ex-cons.
That's for, yeah, I'm not an ex-con. I'm a contemptner, and I don't have a criminal record. I'm civilly prosecuted.
Thank you for sharing this. I just want to say on camera that we did speak about this off camera.
People don't believe because there's no pictures of me being in prison. Because there's no phones to
this
capture
sit down is not about that, because people are going to be like, ask him about prisons. Like, no, that's not why we're sitting today. But we did speak about it off camera, and it's important that people know that we do converse outside of just platforms, and it's not only that we only speak and catch up with each other on platforms. So, but thank you for sharing.
We catch up and share opinions, and we share links to things. Hey, I'm reading this.
Don't deviate.
Okay,
back to the topic.
The prison thing, that's, you know, so like...
That's a deviation, the prison thing. I want to know
it's
about
not a deviation.
Black unity.
No, I'm just speaking about it from a prison perspective, because that's like a very extreme situation, and that's why I was talking about our differences are shown in the extremities, and prison is an extreme situation. So within prison, people ask me like all the time, hey, which gang did you join? What, all that type of stuff. So right in Sun City Prison, in the cell that I was in section C, medium section, so which is for sentenced prisoners. There's section E and D, which is awaiting trial, or people who've got further charges that they're also attending court for. Just to make it convenient, we'll fetch the people that are going in and out from this section and this section. You know what I mean? And those people don't stay there for long. You know what I mean? Some of them are sentenced for 3 months to a couple of days, whatever. So they are not part of the tenured prison community. You know what I mean? So whether the whole entire thing burns, they don't give a damn or whatever. The section that I was in is more tenured. I mean, the most tenured is A, because that's people who come from maximum. They started section A and they moved down to B and C. You know what I mean? So in C, I also had people that I was familiar with. So that's where I preferred to stay, and I was able to lobby for myself prior to me actually starting to serve my sentence. Because if you're going to comply and you're going to submit yourself and everything else, they give you some leniencies, because it's like Oksara Uzala. You know what I mean? So okay, what would make it more it's not comfortable. That is Monsters Inc. You know what I mean? You sleep with each and every single thing that keeps you awake at night. Each and every single thing that gives you nightmares at night, you sleep with. Do you understand what I'm saying? Serial killers give you nightmares at night. You sleep with them. Serial rapists, mass murderers, you know, cockroaches, bed bugs, imbungolo, all that type of shit. You sleep with that at night, and you keep the cockroaches there because they eat the bed bugs. And if you get rid of the cockroaches, then you are overrun by other bugs, which are even less hospitable. You know what I mean? You're less likely to live with them. And in that situation, you are now in my cell. There was 70 of us, and there's 22 beds. Right, and I was lucky enough that one of the people actually organized the bed for me to sleep in, because usually it takes you maybe a year to graduate from sleeping in the toilet to actually getting a bed, because, you know, as you come in, you've got no bed, you've got nowhere to sleep, so you sleep in the toilet. Those that don't have beds, 22 beds for 70 guys. The top bunks are usually shared. I didn't share mine. You know what I mean? I was one of 3 top bunks that weren't shared, but the other top bunks are shared. You know? Either way, I got there and I found a system existing, because there are people that are there. There's people that are going to be there for another 10 years, whatever, another 15 years. And the thing that works is cooperation. As much as we all don't want to be here, as much as we the biggest, baddest baddies outside, when we're inside, we've got no weapons. You know what I mean? We're softies. Some of us come from maximum prison, like Khosimampur. Khosimampur is like where they learn the Bible. It gets beaten into them. So everyone that you encounter at Sun City that comes from Khosimampur after they've served 10 to 15 years, you have to serve 10 to 15 years within maximum before you get transferred to medium. You know what I mean? Once they've gotten Inkani out of you, they've extracted Inkani. The way they extract Inkani out of you is that in Khosimampur, you're all in single cells, very small single cells, no light, nothing, no window, nothing, in total darkness, total silence. You know, the only way you're able to communicate is through the pipes of the toilet, you know? You are shackled at your ankles the entire time, right? When you go shower in the morning, when they pull you out of your cell to go shower, they tase you before they put the handcuffs on you, right? Because unfortunately, Penwell, he's been here for 3 years. At some point, he's going to get frustrated and, you know what I mean, we're trying to take him to shower and then he strangles us. So the system is, before you get the handcuffs put on you, right, you get tased.
To pacify you.
You understand what I'm saying? Then they put you on your handcuffs, clean. You're going to be compliant, and then you get put into the shower, and you're able to shower with your handcuffs off. And then once you're done showering again, and then we handcuff you, and then you get taken back to your cell. Like, that's the type of environment that it's in. So you've got those types of people who've been to those type of places. People who've been underground so long where they haven't seen the sun that their eyes glow blue when they're telling you stories of how they murdered their wives or whatever the case may be. Real monsters. You know what I mean? Things that make your skin crawl, you know? And we have to cooperate with one another. Otherwise, even the biggest, baddest guy can get injured, you know, or something bad can happen to him. And that's the system that you create. So even with our different views, somehow we need to find a way to cooperate.
And be tolerant of each other.
You know what I mean? Doesn't matter which backgrounds we come from. And that's the thing that wins out in the end, is the cooperation.
We should be looking at black cooperation more than black unity, is what you're saying.
That's all I'm saying. Cooperation.
Should it be black cooperation or should it be cooperation just
On a
for the fact
national-
that we're South African?
That's it. I think it should be a nationality thing.
Okay. Anything you want to close with? I think that was my last question.
I think, like, you know, we were outnumbered as South Africans. And number. So there were 14 of us in our cell of 70. So that means 20% of us were South African. 80% were foreigners. Most of the foreigners are there because of deportation, passport laws, whatever. There's a guy who was like, hey, man, yeah. So I was like, yo, what are you going to do when you get back to Lesotho? I'm going to get a passport so I don't have to end up back here. I was like, oh, okay. So you're coming back?
I'm definitely coming back. I'm definitely coming back.
You're coming back to South Africa. You just don't want to end up in Sun City for it. You know what I mean? Okay, I can respect that. It's an honest answer. I mean, why lie to me? You know what I mean? It's not like we're outside. You know, so with that, gangs and gang culture, they don't have the numbers to create the sort of cooperation that it would want to. So a place like Sun City right now, I wouldn't be able to say like you've got gang culture and everything else, you know, numbers or whatever, because they just don't have the numbers for it. And the foreigners, even though they come from different nationalities, you know, they cooperate with one another so they can, you know, reduce the amount of influence that the numbers would have. You know what I mean? Of course, there are people who are numbers gangs who've been in the numbers gang for a number of years. They've been there for many, many years, right? But they're unable to foster this sort of cooperation to have power. You understand? Then there's also the prison warders. And the prison warders can make your life hell or they can make it easy. You know what I mean? So you have to cooperate with them. You know what I mean? It's like I had to get used to not kneeling on the ground after coming out. Because I just decided, you know what, let me just humble myself because I know that they know already the prison warden, hey, when I TikTok, hey, when I celebrate. You know what I mean? I was getting that from the moment I came in. You know, there's no one that didn't know me. There's no one that didn't know you.
Did that help?
At Sun City. Of course. But it also gave me problems. You know, this thing was snatched from me. I almost had a fight in prison. So, like, in the morning, siyafola for food, for porridge, you know. They let us out at 8 a.m. usually. You know, sometimes they can let us out at 10. They just decide, hi, today's sober, keep on 10, just to break your routine, just to fuck with your mind. the game that the warders play with us, you know what I mean? So you just need to just calm yourself. You know what I mean? You can't have a road rage incident like, hey,
I've got rights.
Where
are my rights?
Yeah, just humble. You just, you know what? I must keep. That's fine. So lamba, so tea. You know what I mean? And you eat one meal a day, by the way, after that porridge that you eat. And my favorite was maltabella. So I'd eat when there's maltabella. When there's no oats, I wouldn't eat breakfast. So there was oats being served that day. So I was like, you know what? While these guys are following, let me just go get some sun, walk free. You know what I mean? Because Sun City, the only thing that made it manageable for me is that I'm used to the New York subway system, where it's lots of people, you know what I mean? So it felt like I was in the New York subway. You're going up and down, whatever. It's just like you're in the subway and it's filled with people, you know, crackheads, every single thing, whatever, meth addicts, whatever. And every single drug that you can get on the outside is there inside, you know? So it's not a rehab center.
Sure.
You understand? So if you think you're going to, like I wanted at some point in time, send MT there and say, I know he needs to come down. Like after going to prison, I was like, let me not ever wish for anyone to go here, because if they're already going through addiction problems, you know, I'm actually happy that uLongwe was released on bail, because I was like, damn it. When I heard that he might be coming to Sun City, you know what I mean? I was like, hey, this guy won't survive here 72 hours. And even when he did go to Sun City, I'd already put in word where I could that, please, this guy's coming in, please nimpege in, because he's got an addiction problem, which is why he was arrested. It's not that I was assuming on his behalf. And I don't know him personally, but it's just like, I've seen what can happen. You know what I mean? There's a guy that was even advised to take a broomstick, put it in his mouth and run into a war and kill himself, because his addiction is just destroying him. You know what I mean? He's an RFF beneficiary. He's won millions of rands in his case against the state for his road accident fund. And his brother had to take all of it and put him in prison, you know, because he was just losing his mind because of the drugs. So with that, you know, and that system, it's like you can destroy yourself. You can self-destruct if you're not strong mentally, you know. I think that politically speaking, you know, the sentiments that I got, especially from a lot of the people in prison, there's two things that they hate. They hate foreigners and they hate white people. You know what I mean? So
these are black South Africans in jail.
Yeah. They don't like Julius Malema because he supports the foreigners, and that's in their minds. You know what I mean? That's their opinion. Or other prisoners. You know what I mean? It makes it more difficult. So this guy, while I'm busy trying to get some sun, comes up to me. Hey, when I post on TikTok. So there's like a Stan account of mine that posts on TikTok. So I don't know where he got access to a phone, right? So he saw posts that are posting on my, and he believes that this is a TikTok account. The thing is that when I went out there was a prison warder who was watching that square. You know what I mean? That courtyard where I was jogging in the morning. You know what I mean? That prison warder just decided to conveniently disappear. It's born how this Baloyi guy survives. You know, if someone comes on and pulls up on him. But because of platforms like this and the fact that, you know, the guy who was able to get access to TikTok, everybody else has also had access to TikTok or videos or YouTube and everything else, and I'm a little bit popular. Some guy came out with his truth breath in his mouth when this guy was grabbing this bag of mine and trying to start a fight with me. You know what I mean? And just in time before I had to retaliate, because you know when someone is starting a fight with you, they see, okay, are you gonna punch back? Are you gonna punch me? Are you gonna throw the first punch? And I'm trying not to throw the first punch because I'm thinking to myself, dude, I only have 60 days here. I don't want to get into a fight that's gonna get me in prison for 2 years. Like, you know what I mean? And that's why this guy is actually doing this, because he's trying to tempt me into something that's gonna
provoke.
Yeah, young provoker. And the guy ran to me and rescued me, and then other prisoners started coming. You know what I mean? So, you know, I just feel like we should never sleep on the influence of these platforms. And we should also never forget about our brothers in prison. I mean, when I'm with DJ Spoon in the Hustlers Corner, I always try to give shout outs. And, you know, I was just doing it. Mengas, actually. That niggas are watching. You know, no, for real. Like, I had no idea. I was just saying, our brothers back there, like, as in Kotraga and everything else. And that stuck with them. They're like, bro, you're always giving us shout outs. You know what I mean? And for people who've been treated as subhuman for a very long, you have no idea how endearing that can become. So, you know, with my compliance with the prison warders and allowing myself to be treated as subhuman for that long, they gained respect for me. You know what I mean? They're like, you know what, you came in here and you're able to humble yourself and bring yourself down to our level and comply. And that cooperation buys you a lot more favor than being the fighter is. And I guess to close out the argument, and I'm saying that for me, that approach that Zuma has is about cooperation. Is that he sees that he doesn't want to close the door for any cooperation with the ANC, and that's more important to him. And if you look at Julius Malema, you can see that he's also doing the same thing. Because right now, who's his biggest enemy? The MK. Who's the ANC's biggest enemy? The MK. So he's cooperating with the ANC somewhat by attacking or launching veiled attacks and saying, the MK is stealing our members or whatever, and all that type of stuff. It's a Zulu party, all the rhetoric that you are hearing. And that's the most important thing that we need to foster, because cooperation gets us further, even in the most extreme and dire circumstances. That's why prisons are livable and people are able to serve their sentences without being killed by other prisoners.
Mzamula Notabaloy, thank you so much for coming through, bro. It wasn't a heated debate, but I think I'm happy that I got to extract some stuff from you.
Yeah.
Just in terms of your personal opinions.
So, okay, what do you think when we
don't have time.
Go live? No, I'm just saying go live. Do you still think that, Jacob Zuma is putting up a front? I guess we sort of agree on that, because I'm saying that he has to put up a front. You're saying that he doesn't have to put up a front, but he is putting up a front and he's misleading people. And I'm saying that he's leading people, but he can't trust everyone with the truth.
I want to emphasize these parts of my tweet as a response to you. All of us who claim to be passionate about this country, or the people that live in this geography, we need to work on uplifting the poor masses. A lot of them end up in prison because they have no other choice. They weren't good at school. They're not sports stars. They're not musicians. And to try and eat.
Well, school wasn't good to them.
School wasn't good to them.
Yeah.
Or society, whatever it is. And a lot of them find themselves in prison trying to feed their families. So we need to find better ways to uplift the poor. Should be a priority. We should be focusing on skills education at schools. Those of us that can. Access to business training and funding. Even if it's through a stock fell, teaching a person how to run a spaza shop, to be disciplined, to not drink the money, etc. Those are the things we should be doing.
Who is responsible for that?
I'm saying each of us that have some type of care for the people that are in this geography.
But I'm just saying, in general, is that the responsibility of the government? Is that the responsibility of civic organizations? Is that the responsibility...
The individual citizen.
So which individual citizen?
Me, you.
It's the biggest responsibility of...
Me and you.
As men.
Just as people.
Okay. I think that...
Unless if you're giving me a drop-down list and you want me to pick
for
from
me,
the list.
One person.
Who?
The father. I think that every one of our social ills comes from disrespecting fatherhood and the authority of fatherhood.
We don't have time, eh? I know you're on a rant now.
But it's not on a rant. I'm just saying baby mamas need to respect the role of fathers, because we're seeing how our society is descending. The prisons are filled with single mother-raised men.
Correct.
Most of them.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
And they say it's because the father's absent, but the mom is raising them.
It's because the father has been removed from his role and responsibility, whether it be because he was disrespected or whether it was he was badly raised himself and therefore couldn't fulfill that role. But either way, as women and as men, we are better served by ensuring that children have good fathers. And it's easier to get more good fathers if we're able to celebrate more examples of good fatherhood. And I feel like any woman, right, that is preventing a father from fulfilling his role is committing a crime against humanity, because the result of those badly raised children is that they become the mass murderers.
They're going to burn the villages. And then the other thing is spreading out government and SOE tenders. While we still have the tender system, we need to share the resources with as many people as possible. I wish every single young person who either finishes matric or finishes varsity is taught how to register a company, get it on the CSD, Central Supplier Database.
Yeah, CSI.
And then I just want us to focus less. It's very important, politics. But I need the individual to focus more on uplifting their personal communities more than fighting political status.
It's CIBD, sorry. Yes.
I think the CIDB has got to do with construction.
No.
Okay, anyways, the central database for tenders.
Yeah.
And that's all I have in closing.
Okay.
Done?
Yeah, the construction is NHBRC, I think. Yeah, okay. I don't know. But
they'll correct us.
But yeah, man, I think to put it simply, we need ubaba. All of us need ubaba wetu. You know what I mean?
Not just Ubaba Tutuzan.
You understand? Even Tutuzan needs ubaba.
That's correct.
You know what I mean? He needs to stop this thing of trying to start his own fiefdom.
You're killing my. I'm trying to shut this thing down. I need to emphasize this. I need to raise this because I raised it on videos and I got attacked, which I wasn't surprised.
But when are you good for it?
We don't know in the long run what it will do to me mentally. Maybe I'm fine now, but we don't know the long-term effects of people attacking me.
Okay, I think it'll embolden you.
Ubaba Tutuzane and the fact that Julius says on platforms, he was with David Mashabela, he was with DJ Spoo, that he doesn't know his father.
Yeah.
Those become painful stories for me because he says his mom wouldn't tell him. He says his grandmother wouldn't tell him.
Evil woman.
So we don't know. So we don't know.
Well,
wait, we're not debating this. I'm just raising it as a point to say
is central. The person who decided that you are a male or a female is your father. It's central to you. Just the knowledge of who that person is, good or bad, doesn't matter their relationship with your mother. It's evil to withhold that from a child because you don't understand the complexes that you're creating for the child, and especially when you're not there to live to allay the negative effects thereof. You know what I mean?
So that really hurt me because regardless of how Julius came about, if he really doesn't know, I think it's wrong to not tell a child, even if the child is a consequence of some heinous act.
When you love your father, even though you don't like what he did,
when you get to a level
of, hey, my dad did this, this, but you know what I mean? Your father, you say Penson's father.
When you get to a level of maturity and adulthood, I think part of acknowledging that you're now an adult and mature, we should be able to tell that to you. It can't be that you'll never know. If you're a child and you don't understand and it might mess you up, sure. But at some point, and I'm just using Julius as a reference. I'm emphasizing what you're saying.
Yeah, I worry about
every single mother out there needs to, if not them, their siblings, their parents, anyone close needs to ensure that the kids know who their fathers are. And at the earliest convenience, it could be when the child is 1, 15, whatever. Try and connect that child to their father and let the father be the one to push the child away, etc. But the child at least now knows. That's my dad, that's what happened. But it's not a matter of the mom playing God and deciding, I will keep you from this person, because the damages on society, never mind on yourself, never mind on the child. We are the ones that become victims of hijackings. We are the ones that become victims of rape and being murdered because in your anger as a mother, for whatever reason, decided, fuck this and fuck him. But now when you as the mom, your sister's getting violated, your father's getting hijacked or mugged, you don't know that it's because of acts like the one you're making now.
And for me, it's a crime against humanity. You know what I mean? Our murder rates are like war numbers. But can I just, in closing, tell you why I don't worry about you?
Hit me.
I don't think your sons want to see you self-destruct, and I don't think you want to traumatize them like that.
Nah, I love my kids, man.
Enough
and
I've got
enough important people in my life that are way more valuable than strange people's opinions on social media.
And that's why I'm not worried.
No Tabaloy. We're out.
Thank you. Sharp.